Hello everyone and welcome to The Concerned Citizen. My name is Matthew, and in today's video we are going to discuss some local news in my area. I live in upstate New York, and I have to say that some of the stories here do not surprise me because I grew up in this area, but this is by no means saying that everyone in this area is like this, because I often look back at me growing up with fond memories. But I think even when we self reflect, we have to realize and not be afraid to discuss the things that are difficult to talk about and recognize that not everything is perfect, right? One of the things that should make us great, right? And they always say, make America great again, is really facing the fact that there's still progress to be made. And hate is not one of those things that is going to be leading to progress. If you believe that equity, inclusion, empathy, compassion are all negative things and are bad words, then I don't know what to tell you, because those are things which we should actually cherish and celebrate. Now, there has been a onslaught of Trump and those who support him, and I mean in the political sphere, and promoting hate, really, and villainizing lots of people. So I grew up in upstate New York, like I just said, and a lot of people go, hey, New York State is blue. Well, during the last election, what the Republicans basically saw is that New York City and other parts of the state were leaning more towards red than they have in the past. Now, upstate where I live, it has always been red. Um, and with that, naturally, unfortunately, I'm just going to call it out, is pockets of bigotry and racism, and even in states like New York. So I think it's important that we recognize that we call it out. We do not accept it. Um, I wish that I grew up in an area and world that was more accepting, but it's not the reality. And in today's video, I have two articles and a video that I would like to share with all of you, because it illustrates what I knew to be true whenever someone asked me the question of, like, wasn't it great when Trump was like elected, and wasn't it you weren't you doing better? So, okay, my 401k was going up, but it went up under Biden as well. And I also hate, like, 401k stock market being used to represent how people are doing. Because what this just tells me is rich people are getting richer. I'm getting a sliver of the pie. I'm getting crumbs from this. So I really hate that conversation, and when Democrats and Republicans use it. So what I remember looking back at those 4 years was hate and the giving permission and people feeling free to say what they really felt and what we always knew to be true. The only thing that has been happening the whole time, regardless of Trump being in office or not, is that people gaslight us to believe that what we're seeing and what we're hearing is not actually happening. So Elon Musk giving the Nazi salute and people going, well, he was saying his heart goes out. Bullshit. Because if you actually watch that video, you'll see that he is actually giving the Nazi salute. And he did it twice. And when you have the association of Proud Boys, KKK, white supremacists supporting you as a party, and MAGA and being part of that, and Trump saying stand back, stand by, and recently being asked by a reporter, would they be part of your administration? Would they be part of, and he did not rule it out. So, and then the recent pardoning of the January 6th individuals after they had assaulted police officers. So there's so much hate going on, and I don't want to be lied to when I'm actually seeing something. The gaslighting is real. So I'm going to share the story here and give my commentary. And this is just what I'm experiencing in my own neck of the woods in my community. So let's go ahead and share that. And again, I'm not trying to shit on anybody here. So I just want to put that and make that very clear. I hope that I can get it. Okay, here we go. So I grew up in Amsterdam, New York, which is very close to Gloversville. I have shopped and visited my partner, who previous ex, who lived in Gloversville. And it comes with its mixed bags. There are people who are accepting, just like any community, but there is a real concern to actually be out. And are people who were out. I remember this drag queen who I was friends with was out, but had experienced lots of hate in the community, but still defied everything and was out to everyone. Wore their nails, wore their makeup in public. Unfortunately, later it had passed due to a medical issue. But I was not unfamiliar with, the contrast in the community, that there were very nice people. There were people who were accepting. One time I had went to a wedding, and it was my ex who invited me there, and it was in Gloversville. And they were overall, the core of the family, very accepting, very welcoming. But in that area, there were people who were saying things behind her back. I got to hear the FAG word. I heard it also when my ex and I went to Dunkin' Donuts. There was a man, three guys in front of us in line, and one of them had farted in front of us, intentionally so, and looked back at us, laughed. When we went to the car afterwards getting our donuts, I really wasn't in the mood, appetite-wise, to eat, because, somebody farting right before you eat, you kind of lose your appetite. But when we got in the car and they were getting in their car, they said to us that we were FAG, right? I could tell that if we responded, it was definitely going to end up with us being attacked. When I was younger, I walked to school. It was about a 45-minute walk. It wasn't too, I do not do this frequently. It was maybe once or twice a year when I was in high school. But a peer of mine, who was in another grade, tried to run me over with their car. Drove back 4 or 5 times. I had to go in the ditch to avoid them. They laughed about it, but I knew that I couldn't say anything back because there was more of them than were of me, and I could end up beaten or dead. So that's my personal experience. And again, I'm not trying to shit on the community. There's many positive aspects. I've had many positive things there growing up in where I grew up. So I love the community. I love the people. I want to do so much more for the community than I can in my means. So the first story is from October 16th of 2017. And this is when Trump was in office. And I already knew before Trump actually, took office, that this was just going to be part of the atmosphere, and this was going to be potentially normalized. Now, at the time when this article was released, it had reached national attention. The newspaper had come under scrutiny because they did a series based on this. And a lot of people were upset because they felt it didn't represent the community that they knew. And I believe that those people were speaking from the heart and from their truth and what they observed. But there are other people who had experienced that. And that's what I'm talking about when it comes to empathy, is not discrediting the experiences of other people, because this did happen, in fact. And what I'm going to do is just going to play this actual news segment, and then we'll go to our recent story in 2025, now that Trump's elected again, with another thing happening in this town again. So here we go. Hopefully you all can hear it and see it.
Fulton County now says she's being targeted.
News 10 ABC's Rachel Yankunis has the story in Gloversville as this woman bravely steps forward.
Some in the Gloversville community say they have unmasked 4 people claiming to be members of the KKK. One mother tells us she is now being targeted for it.
pictures don't lie. They really don't lie.
To Nicole Martish, there is no question about the identities of 4 self-proclaimed Ku Klux Klan members in her community. Exposing them, she says, has made her family a target.
They're posting pictures of my kids all over the internet, saying they're going to use them as human speed bumps.
Gloversville police tell us they have not had any KKK-related incidents since recruitment flyers showed up in the area. Those flyers first appearing in Fulton County back in February. At the time, the man responsible told police,
his exact words during the interview when we conducted it was, "I did this to stir the pot."
They're claiming there's 200 of them in Fulton County.
Do you believe that?
No, absolutely not. But even if there's just five of them can do something.
the city says there is no evidence of any real danger, but Martyr says she isn't the only one being targeted. As the community holds peace rallies, Martyrs is sending a message that fear will not define her.
As a community, we need to stick together and stand together and make something happen.
Mayor Dayton King has said that hate is not tolerated here, and he's still working towards a race relations forum here in the city. Reporting in Gloversville, I'm Rachel Young-Kunis for News 10, ABC.
So there's our first story, right? And I have to say, I wasn't completely shocked just because I had, experienced things. I heard people say racist things. I remember, okay, when you look at the story, something that just screams out to me is this is when Trump's elected, right, in office. So many people online, Facebook, hate. And you got to see that they're doing a peace rally. And one of the things that in November of 2024, in October beforehand, I saw locally signs that said peace, Trump for peace. That's what it was saying. And it seemed so ridiculous. It seemed like an oxymoron, right? So I was like, what the heck? And you look at the contrast that back then people were, celebrating, or not celebrating, but doing gatherings trying to speak about peace during a time when it felt so divisive and there was so much hate. And that's what people forget about it. It's amazing, but I was not a person that forgot. So I want to go into the article that recently happened in Gloversville again. And this is only a week into Trump's presidency, and it's already a shit show. So here we go. All right. I have this other story. If you don't like me reading, I'm sorry. But basically says Democrat Gloversville resident got hate mail. And in the story, it basically says the Fausto family came out to check their mailbox like any other day on January 17th. And this is before Trump was sworn in on the 20th, right? So to their surprise, a hateful message was inside with no return address. This was not the only one. Tani Fausto invited News 10 Anthony inside her home where he saw the paper for himself. The anonymous letter mailed to the address called the family naive, corrupt, evil, and a waste of life, to name a few, all because they're Democrats. Also included was a drawing with an obscene gesture. First, Tanya laughed at the letter, but then became scared for her family. The Faustos have their home up on the market for an unrelated reason, and this week had another note taped to the for sale sign. It read, "I'm a crazy Democrat," and accuses her of supporting a sexual act towards children. As a mother, Tanya says bringing children into this crosses the line. The Faustos are not the only family to be harassed. A member of Fulton County Democratic Committee had something similar taped to their fence, according to the first Vice Chair Robin Wentworth. Wentworth told News ABC 10 over the phone that it's unfortunate that anyone has to feel threatened in their own home because someone doesn't agree with their political views. And it says beliefs there, but I had views. So it says Mayor Vincent DeSantis. I'm familiar with DeSantis. says that this behavior is uncharacteristic of Gloversville. Civility and respect are really, really important in a community, and in any community, but especially in government. We have Democrats and Republicans working together, and it's been that way for a long time, almost 10 years. Whoever is responsible for these messages could face charges if caught. Matthew Winchell, an attorney at Tully Rickey, sent the following statement. The people could be charged with criminal mischief in the fourth degree for damage to a sign and potentially trespassing charges. If they could be found out who mailed these letters, they could potentially be charged with harassment. Anyone with information about these hateful messages or signs is asked to reach out to Gloversville's police. Now, I found it interesting that they're basically, saying, hey, this is not part of our community. I think it's just, well, one, I just showed you an article from 2017 that shows that the KKK had passed out flyers in the community. So to deny the fact that there has been concerns in the past is ignoring the fact and disregarding the fact that this happened. So again, this is just an example of what we are in for and what I believe Trump has done and the Republican Party is that they have normalized hate. They have normalized bigotry. And this has empowered and emboldened people to be hateful, to be their true selves that we knew was already happening and existing. So all these things of anti-DEI, anti-trans and anti-woke, lots of the terminology that they use is like, oh, I'm not racist. I just don't like DEI. Oh, I'm not racist. I just don't, that movie was woke. And you're like, it had a gay person. Yeah, I just don't like that. It's woke. I think they should stop that. So it's a way for them to be racist before without actually being like full out, like saying the racist things, even though they were. We're not stupid. So here you see how emboldened they are. And I am concerned about, like, I think it's Lee Stefanik, who potentially could take her place. Because in Amsterdam, we have a business owner who put up vote for Trump sign without any, permits and actually won in court not to have the sign taken down. It was huge on a building. It was lit up. He has lots of money. It was on the business. And it was left on the sign for freedom of speech. So that is interesting because here you have somebody with money and power who gets to have their sign up. I think it was a regular person. Like if I put up, hey, your company sucks, you support children being killed or something, whatever, right? That would be torn down and as hate speech. The tactic that they often use and is coming back is labeling gay people as pedophiles, labeling Democrats as pedophiles. And you could see it here. I saw comments on Facebook, from the local community saying, this was a Democrat. I think not. The same thing was said about the person who tried to assassinate Trump. The same thing was said in Florida, the second person who tried to assassinate Trump. The same thing was said about the person who put a bomb in an ugly Cybertruck in Las Vegas in front of a Trump motel, right? And that blew up. All three instances, they said, this was a Democrat, obviously. And guess what? All three instances turned out to be a former or present Trump supporter. My concern is that when you play with hate, you're going to get burned. And I'm not saying that's justification, right? I fear that when you brood and build up hate, that there's nothing left within you and you become easily radicalized. So I'm asking for compassion. And I am not saying, for example, that everybody in Gloversville is like this, right? Everyone in the community that I grew up in is like this, right? There's lots of people who would discredit this and say, nothing. But we cannot do that. We cannot normalize this behavior. Okay? So that's all I want to say about this particular subject. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. What am I getting wrong? What should I, pay attention to here? Again, there are good people in this town. I am not attacking the town. I'm saying that there are people who feel that they are supported by Trump and the MAGA. And recently, the January 6th, pardons to actually say how they feel and actually pursue action with those feelings. So thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and be safe.